Okay, this is my video to say welcome to my channel. Some of you may know me from my Soul Fitness Diva channel, where I share my story about my okay, let's do this over again. My Soul Fitness Diva channel, where I share a lot about, my health issues that I've helped with, the raw food diet and with juice feasting. I also have a previous YouTube astrology channel where I did the Prince Vanity Synastry video, and I did Five Dogs Synastry commentary as well. So I did both those commentaries, and then life happened, and when I tried to get back into my channel, I wasn't able to because my hard drive went out, and when I got it replaced, I wasn't able to get back into my account. And YouTube wasn't able to help me, Google wasn't able to help me, and I decided, you know what, I'm not going to let this hold me back. I'm just going to start a new channel. I'll take my old videos and upload them here and then continue on doing videos. So anyway, I want to talk about, my introduction to astrology and how astrology became such a huge part of my life. Now, I did have a few mini synchronicities before, the big synchronicity happened, where a friend of mine, introduced me to a few things about astrology that I found interesting. There was something about the Pisces moon, and it stuck with me, but it wasn't, I was so focused on raising my kids and moving out of state that it just kind of got lost. I went to an astrology class, but because I was so overwhelmed with so many things, the class stood out. I mean, the information stood out, but it wasn't enough to set me on a path to studying astrology. Now, years later, I went to see my first astrologer, and she blew me away because she told me so many things about myself based on the chart that were true. And I didn't feed her information. I just went, I sat down, and she did the reading. And since that time, I immediately started studying astrology. And I met other astrologers along my path, astrologers that I consider teachers. And let's see, I was also going through recovery from religion. I was raised in a religious cult, and of course that cult and other churches I tried to become a part of after I left, this particular religious cult, the teaching is that astrology is evil. Astrology is from the devil. And that set me on a path to comparative religious studies. And I began studying the history of the church, of the Christian church. I started studying the history of the Bible. I learned that popes to this day still use astrology, and that United States presidents who were Christian also consulted astrologers before they made significant decisions in their lives or choices, including Ronald Reagan, who was on the cover of Time magazine, and the article pointed out that, they don't do anything, the Reagans didn't do anything until, or unless, they consulted with their astrologer. So, and I might not be looking at the camera, I haven't really figured this out with my, I really haven't figured this out with my phone, so bear with me. Okay, so I went on this major journey where I had to go deeper into the rabbit hole than most people have to. I mean, most people who left the religious cult I grew up in, and people who are part of the churches that I joined, afterwards trying to find myself spiritually, trying to find out what is truth. Most people who come out of that, they have to do their digging. They have to do research. They have to understand, why did my entire worldview and my entire belief system just blow up, and how do I get my bearings? So they go and they join other churches, and they stay comfortable. Their path, the universe, energies don't force them to have to go any further. But there are some of us who are forced to see truth. We can't stay, even when we want to. We want to stay in that comfort zone. We want to replace, I wanted to replace the fellowship that I lost. And I wanted to be, I wanted to just be a part of, what a religious family, a spiritual family. But every single time I would have to change churches, it was always because there was some major hypocrisy happening. It was because I would become a target. Through astrology, I understand why religious people target me, even when they don't know who I am. I told some of those stories over on the Soul Fitness Diva channel, which I forgot to say that that channel isn't just about my health journey, with raw food and with the juice feasting, but it's also about exposing that particular religious cult that I grew up in, and then exposing a lot of things about religion and holy books as well. But I ended up on this journey, and later on I found rabbis teaching astrology on YouTube. And then doing the research on that, I found out that, okay, Jews never condemned astrology. What the rabbis condemn is people who put the astrology above the Creator. That's basically their issue. And with the Christian church, they've taken what they wanted with Judaism and they've left the rest. And one of the things that the church, that Judaism also has a history, with reincarnation. The church, for about 300 years, reincarnation was just common belief. They believed in reincarnation. They also believed in astrology. No one was condemning astrology. But it served them better, the powers that be, it served them better to come up with this hellfire and brimstone thing to control people, because I guess they figured that, well, if you kill me, I'll just come back again. But the way that they phased out reincarnation and mind controlled with the hellfire and brimstone, people were easier to control. People were easier to terrorize. And I didn't know that. I had no idea. And I've gone so far, with the comparative religious studies, the studies of the study of the history of the church, the history of the different religions, and it's like, wow, I didn't want to go this far down the rabbit hole. It's not fun down here. It really isn't. But astrology was something that was put on my path, and it's given me such an understanding about myself. It's given me an understanding of my children. It's given me the understanding of, deep understanding of my family of origin. How is it that family members were able to get sucked in to religious cults and extremist religious groups? How was that able to happen? It's right there on the chart. You're not just your sun sign. Oh, I'm a Leo. Oh, I'm an Aries. Oh, I'm a Capricorn. There's so much more to it. Your ascendant, your moon sign. Oh my goodness, your moon sign. That is your emotional self. That's your mind. And the aspects to the moon brings me to mental health challenges like PTSD, which I also shared about on my old channel, Soul Fitness Diva, and trauma, abuse. You know, there's not enough talk about Chiron, and one of the things that I'm not putting down my astrology teachers, but now I can look way back in time, because that happened back in 2004 when I went for my first reading, and I was blown away. And here it is, 2018, and she didn't teach me about Chiron. She didn't teach me about the Moon-Pluto opposition that I have. I mean, that tells me more about me than, well, you're a Capricorn sun and, you know, you have a Virgo ascendant. She did tell me that, you know, the Virgo ascendant is that, well, you know, you would be, you know, basically the child that was the easiest to be pushed around, you know, because you have this Virgo ascendant. Which was true. The fact that I have my North Node in the sign of Cancer in my 10th house does show that I would work in the healthcare field. That's true. But there's so much more. I mean, she helped me to understand my Saturn return and what I suffered as a result of that Saturn return. You know, that got me researching more, and I started, you know, visiting, you know, the ephemeris and looking at periods in time where I was able to see how previous Saturn transits, as well as Pluto transits, happened in tandem with significant tragic events in my family. Significant tragic events that happened in my teens. I mean, it was all there. And it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's like, wow. So here they are, these religious leaders, you know, going to astrologers and calling them their consultants. And, you know, I'm talking the Catholic Church, I'm talking the evangelical preachers, and, you know, the Jews again, you know, the Jewish rabbis. I mean, they've been honest about it from the beginning. They never condemned it. Not really, not the way the evangelicals and the Catholic Church condemn it to the common people. So that's a little bit about how astrology came to my life, and my focus has been on abuse, mental illness, because a lot of it is spiritual crisis. And the asteroid Chiron, it's just, like I said, it doesn't get discussed very much. But when I look at the charts of people, you know, Chiron being, you know, the thing, it is the asteroid that is symbolic of our deepest wounds. You know, where we're wounded deepest. And wow, how could they leave that out? So, you know, I'm not putting them down, but they were my teachers. And, you know, I was forced by life events to go deeper down the rabbit hole, and this is the level of astrology that I have been pulled to. So, oh, I forgot to mention malignant narcissism. My goodness, I can't come from religious abuse and come from familial abuse without talking about malignant narcissists in the zodiac. Wow. So, I'm going to go ahead and stop because I really don't have that much time left on my phone. But I will say that I can't say how often I'll upload astrology videos. When I'm doing videos at home, I apologize for the quality of the camera. My camera was stolen. It's a big, long story, and it'll be a while before I'm able to, you know, straighten out the whole camera situation. But I apologize for the quality of the videos, but that camera is closest to my computer, and when I'm doing videos and commentaries on different people's birth charts, that's where I have to be. So I apologize for the quality, and it will get better, and hopefully the content will be, you know, of value to you. More about my astrology. Why did I call the channel, you know, Mystic Virgo Astrology? It's because I'm more of a Virgo than I am my Capricorn stellium. Sun and stellium. My Virgo is like, I've got Pluto in Virgo, and I've got Neptune in Scorpio. So it's like the ruler of the 12th house is in Scorpio, and Scorpio's ruler is in my 12th house. So super Virgo. That's what people see when they meet me. That's what I exude. Yeah, it's the face that the world sees, but it's more than that. And I'll talk more about that later. But I have my sun in Capricorn, and I have a stellium there. And I've got both Pluto and Uranus conjunct in my 12th house in Virgo as well. And I have my moon in Pisces, which means that, the moon opposition to both Pluto and Uranus, and then my Chiron loosely conjunct my Pisces moon. Yeah, I'm going to talk about abuse. I'm going to talk about religious abuse. I'm going to talk about the hypocrisy, malignant narcissists. Why am I going to talk about these things? Because nobody else is talking about it. And there are a lot of people who are out there hurting, and they're supposed to be silent, and they're, told by all kinds of religious movements, including the New Age movement, that, well, this is happening to you because you're thinking negative thoughts. I had an evangelical preacher, family member, throw a Bible in my lap and tell me that the reason why I have depression and issues with PTSD is because I didn't do it right. It didn't matter all the years that I spent in the evangelical church. I mean, this is the kind of thing that I've had to deal with, that so many other people have had to deal with, and they're not allowed to talk about their pain. And it's talking about the pain and processing through it that brings about the strength and the healing. Like when I had my dream that I was in the church, just to make it simple, the church of my upbringing, and I had no fear. But all the work that I had to do, researching astrology, researching psychology, being in therapy myself, doing all of this work, being a part of different groups on Facebook, so much work. And now when I face a member of the church that I was raised in, no fear. I have no fear. And I was also able to consult with a young woman who is just leaving this cult, but she's completely lost, and she's in fear of God killing her kids and God killing her. And we've worked together, and she made some progress, some beautiful progress. And these are the things that I have to talk about in astrology, because that's just where I feel led to do what I feel led to do. And I think that too many people, the society, its religions, they like to point the finger at victims and, oh, you're playing the victim. Well, there are a lot of people out there who really are victims, and they need to be able to just have permission or to get validation from other people saying, hey, you know what, you're not alone. This happened to me as well. And looking at my natal chart and learning to study my natal chart, and then continuing to study astrology and study other abuse cases, for me, that brought answers. It brought a level of acceptance. Not, oh yeah, I'm so glad this happened to me, but it was the astrology. It wasn't the religion. It wasn't the religion band-aid that made it possible for me to make the breakthroughs that I've made. It was astrology. And when it was time for me to get my children out of the family system that would have guaranteed that they would repeat a cycle that would put them on a path to danger, that happened in tandem with a Saturn return that was perfectly in sync with all of the preparation to me pulling things together and then getting my kids out of that situation. And the results show today. My son's graduating his RN program in a couple of weeks now, and my daughter is 2 classes away from her bachelor's degree in public relations. And those things never would have happened if I wasn't able to listen to my intuition and follow that. And then I go back in time with the ephemeris, and it's like, wow, you know, this was perfectly in time with the Saturn transit to my Capricorn stellium, and then in Aquarius, I'm blanking out here because there's some distraction up there. Yes, my Saturn in Aquarius, that would be my Saturn return. Perfect timing. It's perfectly in sync. So that's a little bit about me, or maybe a lot about me and astrology, and you know what I want to do with astrology on YouTube. Just bring more awareness and more understanding about trauma, about, you know, true victims, about, you know, religious abuse. When people come to terms with who they are and what's on their chart, it doesn't make all the problems go away. It doesn't do that, but it does bring self-understanding. It does show, hey, wait a minute, there's a much bigger picture than what I thought it was. And with that, it's starting to get a little hot out here. I'm gonna maybe go put my feet in the water and spend some time with nature. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and close the video, and I'll see you at my next video.